A few years ago, I was in a bit of a gaming rut, so to speak. There weren't really any new games coming out that I wanted to play, and I was in danger of wearing out some of my classic favorites. Mainly I was hunting for new RPGs to play. So scrolling through the options on the PS3, I saw a tab for a game called Wild Arms, a PlayStation 1 RPG that I had missed upon its first release. $6 later, I was immersing myself in the world of Filgaia, a foreboding wasteland on the brink of destruction. I have in the past stated that I love the Star Ocean series for bringing an anime/RPG Star Trek world to life for me. And with that kind of taste, you can bet I loved every second of this East meets Wild West spectacular. And you get a series that has entertained me for countless hours. Seeing that my Tri-Ace Retrospective is at this point one of my most popular videos on the internet, I thought another underappreciated Japanese RPG studio deserves some time in the sun. This is the Media Vision Retrospective. Founded March 1st of 1993, this company was from the very beginning out to push boundaries in the video game market. The PlayStation 1 was on its way, and their first developed partner would be Sony to develop games for the system. The first release for the company was the Japan exclusive Crime Crackers. Released on December 3rd of 1994, it came out less than a month after the PS1's launch. It is, in essence, a first-person shooter with RPG elements, or as the company describes it on their website, a 3D action RPG. The game has very little presence online, and the best I can tell you about it is that it seems to be a space-themed and have a female bounty hunter protagonist named Amelia. The game made very few waves and was predicted by some reviewers to have little impact on the future, and that seems to be the case. The next game for the studio came quickly in 1995, called Gunner's Haven. Often compared to the Genesis classic Gunstar Heroes, this game was released in Europe as well and featured an American Western theme for the very first time. The story follows two treasure hunters looking for a valuable stone while fighting off an organization known as the Pumpkinhead's Army. Depending on the character chosen, there are two possible endings to the story. The game also was not received well critically and was considered inferior to its 16-bit equivalent, the aforementioned classic Gunstar Heroes. Entering into 1996, things were likely looking kind of grim for the company. The first two games had barely made waves in the industry. They needed a hit, and boy, did they deliver. Wild Arms, released on December 20th, 1996. The company's first genuine crack at the RPG genre, the game capitalized on its unique setting and equally unique story to not only secure a place in the Japanese market, but the American one as well. 6 months later, Final Fantasy VII would steal most of its thunder, but early in the PlayStation 1's lifespan, this was easily the best RPG we had. The land of Filgaia is dying, and the three heroes with little in common band together to save the world from a great threat. Rudy is the amnesiac central hero, a drifter and wielder of the game's namesake, the Arm. The ancient guns can only be wielded by certain individuals and are usually attached to a mysterious person. Cecilia, the princess of Aldehyde, at a young age must take on the burdens of her people to save the land that she loves. And Jack, who is just Clint Eastwood, with a talking mouse sidekick and a sword instead of a gun. Jack has a mysterious and damaged past, but is trying to make a name for himself as a treasure hunter of the wasteland. I could go on about this game's battle system and graphics, but the purpose of this video is not to review these games, but I do highly recommend the game to any RPG fan, and if you never play the game, listen to the soundtrack. The music is one of my favorite things about this series as a whole, and is on my personal playlist. The game sold 250,000 copies in 2 weeks in Japan and received high scores in almost all of its reviews. The company's next release was Crime Crackers 2, and to be honest, I found less information on this game than even the first. Also described on the company's website as a 3D action RPG, the game seems to have even less impact than its prequel and even more forgotten. But soon Wild Arms was back with Second Mission. Releasing in August of '99, this game was actually the first in the series that I played. I bought it had a PS1 copy online and was playing it on my PS2 not long after beating Star Ocean Second Evolution for the first time. It is strange to say that playing it in low resolution on a tube TV gave me nightmares. No joke. Something about the colors and textures. If I played the game before bed, I would have awful night terrors. For some reason, playing it on my PSP or PS3 on a modern television does not seem to have the same effect. Weird dreams aside, when I finally could play and enjoy the game, I found it a satisfying follow-up to the original. Sure, it was some respects the inferior entry, mainly the story, but most of the other respects, it built on the original strengths and made mechanical and graphical improvements. I found the trio of main characters interesting and easy to invest in, and optional side characters also added a bonus. The struggle of the main character against the monster within to balance his responsibilities and his relationships and save the world, I found to resonate with me personally. Not that I've ever been asked to save the world. Another recommended game with, again, an amazing soundtrack. The next game for the studio would be the Xbox exclusive Sneakers, or Have a Mice Day in Japan, 2002. A puzzle game that I have never played, and did not even know existed till right about now. Apparently the game was fared very poorly with critics. It represents a fairly forgotten early title for the Xbox. But as with most of this company's history, we grow from low to high. Wild Arms 3, released in November of 2002, had kept many of the prequel's traditions alive. With the power of the PS2 came better graphics and a cel-shaded style. More lighthearted than its older brothers and sporting a female main protagonist, the game follows 4 characters through the western-themed land trying to find themselves and eventually save and revive the land. Personally, I enjoy this game as much as the first, but I like the plucky cast of characters and the fun they get into along the way. With a more fleshed out narrative and a wonderful style, especially for the PS2, I come back to this game fairly often. Plus, once again, the soundtrack is well worth a listen. The game received mostly positive reviews, but was not as well received as the original. As with the other two, I recommend a playthrough. The next year, in 2003, came the anticipated remake of the original called Alter Code F. Yep, completely remade using the same engine and systems as Wild Arms 3. This game makes an attempt to recapture the magic of the original. The most collectible game in MediaVision's library, a complete copy will set you back $60 to $80. Valuable because it is rare due to limited release, the game comes with a DVD from the anime. Again, the game is super hard to find and you should be very jealous that I have a copy. Found mine hidden in a shelf at a game store. Could barely believe it. I have not played it yet as I have been occupied, but I'm sure looking forward to it. Trying to mix things up with the sequel, Wild Arms 4, released in 2005 in Japan and 2006 in North America, introduced a new grid-based hexagonal battlefield, and I do not like it. I also did not like the characters, who were all very whiny. I also did not like the presentation, which was chintzy and cheap at best, which after the effort put into Part 3 and Alter Code F felt lazy and uninspired. With the game reviewed as well as the previous entry, but for me the magic was just not there anymore. I have to admit that I have not finished it. Even the music felt less inspired. The studio has gone on after to publish 2 more Wild Arms games, 5, which I did not play, in 2006. It reviewed about as well as 4, and seemed much the same based on the little bit I even looked at it. Then came XF in 2007, which broke the mold and went for a strategy RPG system. This actually looks interesting to me, but I have not found one for the right price yet. It received mixed reviews and came out for, if we're honest, a largely failed console, the PlayStation Portable. Since then, their only original IP they have worked on has been Chaos Rings Trilogy, which I have not played, which, like many things these days, is for mobile phones. That being said, they have still been making games for other companies' properties, and they have been fairly well received. They've developed 3 games for Sega in the Shining series, and the Valkyria Chronicles series they've developed for as well. For Bandai Namco, they've been working on Dragon Ball games and Digimon games mainly. This is a company defined by pushing ideas and technology that is at the very edge. Years ago, I watched a Top Gear episode that described the best car company in the world as Lancia. In it, they explained that what made the company great was that they were constantly trying new things. The cars were great because they were flawed, but somehow masterpieces. This company to me is like that. Let it never be said that they did not try amazing things. Some have failed miserably, but some struck me as brilliant and wonderful. With the resurgence of the classic game style and indie studios, I hope that this company will get another shot at making a truly memorable game like Wild Arms 1, 2, or 3.